Good Fighters, what's happening? Coming to you live with a whole lot of connection, intention, and purpose. Dr. Nash Dobko, Dr. Gates Mayer. This is the Good Fighters podcast. You know what it is, Dr. Gates. What's happening?
What's happening, buddy? Man, it is good to hear from you, dude. We've both been crushing it lately, and it's one of those days where I'm very grateful for our relationship, this podcast, and for all of our listeners, especially the Fight Club. It's a solid hump day today.
Dude, Gates, let them know you finished 75 hard for the second time.
We finished it, y'all. We crushed it. We did it. Second time through, just as magical as the first time. And I love everything about it. If you are slacking and not doing 75 hard, get on it. My man, Dr. Nash, got on it. He's on day 38, crushing it. Give him a little taste of your forethought before you started 75 hard and where you're at now. Because I want them to think about too. Because it's something that you gotta commit to. It's hard, So,
well, dude, and it requires sacrifice. But
right,
that's the if you understand what sacrifice truly means, it's giving something up in the present for something in the future, which is going to be a greater return.
Ooh.
And I feel like that's exactly what 75 hard is. It's sacrifice the present for what's to come later on. But like that's in the long run, that's how you can really cultivate not just success, but fulfillment.
Yes, sir. That's so freaking true, man.
I feel like on day 38, I'm in the stride. I mentioned that to you before, that at this point, it really is like that habit that for me, it's second nature. A lot of the things that I'm working on that I'm really trying to do now, don't get me wrong. There's some things like had a birthday dinner last night. Woof.
That was difficult, I bet. You're a bold man doing it during your birthday, dude.
Well, yeah, and we got Thanksgiving coming up. I had Halloween. So Halloween was a good test run that had to really practice that self-discipline a little bit extra. Because, you got those little pieces of sugar out here and there. So that's part of my diet is no added sugar that I'm following. So also at the same time trying to gain weight through that process. So that calorie intake's got to come from different sources that are really nourishing. So
yeah, that's true. It takes that discipline and that prep work. I think you can't just not think about the things that you're doing. They have to be consistent, and you have to logically think through everything that you do day in and day out. But like you said, it becomes habit. It becomes habit. It really does. Mindfulness key. Yep. But on that kind of same vein, because 75 hard being done for myself, and then a couple other things such as Dr. Nash's birthday is tomorrow. So by the time Good Fighters, the Fight Club hears this, it'll be well past. But November 11th for future reference.
11/11.
11/11, baby. In that vein, and then probably by the time they hear this, it'll be around New Year's, maybe time. So it got me thinking, about reflection. And something that, I've kind of gone through in some training on my own, and just the law of reflection, because there's a lot that we go through in life, especially if you're a student right now, especially if you're a chiropractor right now that's growing your practice like Dr. Nash and I, where you're go, and while we grow during that time, what I found in myself is that I grow most when I'm able to reflect. And there's two things about that I want to hit on real quick. When I discuss reflection, it's a quick glance. Okay, it's not a long-term thing, because a lot of times people reflect for too long and they get stuck in this past mindset, right? Crap. Edit that out. It might go off again. I don't know how to mute it. There we go. It might, your thought process might be stuck in the past mindset. So you're reflecting almost too much on the wrong things. And a lot of times it's negative. My goodness. Sorry, Fight Club. I'm going to unplug this real quick. Hold on.
Go for it. I really like what you had to say there, though. Already talking about that reflection process it's really revealing, and keep going. But I love where you're heading, Gates.
Yeah. So not getting too stuck in a reflective pattern where it's almost past negative things that we're playing over and over again, and keeping in mind that it's a quick glance. So almost like you're looking into, your side view mirrors or your rear view mirror in your car. If you look at it for too long, you're crashing, right? You can't look at that thing forever and expect to drive straight to where you need to go. But you look at it to say, okay, am I going the right direction? Am I where I need to be? What obstacles have I come across? And you become a better driver for that the more you look into that stuff. So just going to touch on a few things here, and I wanted to get your thoughts, Dr. Nash, regarding the law of reflection. The first part is, something that I've come across is learning to pause or learning to reflect allows the growth to catch up to you. Can you give the listeners maybe like a time or an instance that you can think about where you are able to reflect and it helped you to grow a lot more or a lot faster and catch up?
Well, I think as far as like my personal reflection periods go, it comes from like setting intention to even like have that space to do it.
Right.
So, and I think what you said is super true about, looking in that rear view mirror or reflection of like looking at, all right, where have I been moving from? Yeah. Like, because that's what we're doing. There's one constant, that's time. And we're all on that all moving at the same speed as far as that goes. So having that reflection period allows us to really see not just a reflection of who we are now, but who we were and what that's starting to shape for the future us. So recently, I would say one of the most recent reflection periods. I mean, honestly, it happens, especially since I'm doing 75 hard. I reflect a lot every single day.
Yeah.
Because part of it is taking a daily picture, and I think that's one of the intentions of the program is to literally have a reflection period every day that you can. If you want to, you can save those images every day and you can reflect that not just from yesterday, but from day one. And I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit of something that I, just even speaking on the law of reflection.
Yeah, please do.
And it kind of comes back around to what we do as chiropractors, and not just what we do as chiropractors, but, the law of the universe, the major premise. And that is just seeing ourselves as a reflection in not just everybody, but everything. And I think that's a big component of the major premise that that universal intelligence is in all matter, continually giving to all of its properties and actions, maintaining it in existence. And that maintenance is time, right? Always being in the present and being able to understand that we all are, essentially more space than anything, but we're all atoms and matter, components of stars and whatever else is in the universe.
Yeah.
So, as far as reflection goes, I think that's a big component for being able to serve people and understanding that, they may have been, more than likely they're somewhere where you have been in their fate, in their wherever they're at in life, and being able to see that in somebody, being able to connect with somebody at that level, I think is super powerful, not just for you, but for them, because that's not something that's super common right now.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's not normal, but it's not common. So finding ways and having that mindfulness to be able to reflect with other people is key for me a lot of the time.
No, dude, I think that, that especially leads into my second point here, where I talk about how reflection turns experience into insight. And that alone is great insight into, okay, how does my place fit in this universe as a collective, and what am I going to do about it? So it provides you with a lot more insight to yourself and how you fit into this grand scheme of the world as a good fighter. And that reflection is very, very crucial. And in that same point, for me, for 75 hard, there was something that hit me more on the second time. And that's that reflection component in terms of, okay, it's become habit for me. What am I going to do to continue that habit and not go back to, having like this wave-like substance where I go up and down in what I'm doing, but I continue those habits. And part of that was creating a never ever again list, basically. So taking tools that I have learned, and I know we've talked about that before, but taking tools that I've learned along this second journey and saying, okay, what do I really want out of my life? Reflect on those things. And honestly, I'm still reflecting because there's certain things that I pick up on, or I get drop-ins, and I'm like, all right, there's things that I can work on that can increase my insight into this world. And as we go forward too, you're doing 75 hard as well. There's a lot of insight that I've learned from you that has been really cool, especially because you are doing it a little bit different than me. I was doing a cut. And then, there's some other books that we've both have read, and just learning insight from that and reflecting with one another on our journey of through 75 hard. So yeah, that right into my second point. So that's awesome, man.
Will you reread that second initial reflection point that you said at the beginning though?
Yeah. So I'll go through both here.
Yeah.
Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. And then reflection turns experience into insight.
Yeah. Love that. So, I mean, just like the insight portion of the reflection, right? Looking inside, that's, there's no deeper way to move forward than to connect inside and understand truly what the perspective is. Because I think that's what a reflection really provides most of the time, is perspective and understanding what the perspective is. Because with 75 hard, that perspective is different for a lot of people, but ultimately it's all based around the same thing. And it's creating a better future for you, and not just for you, but those people around you, people that you love and care about. And if everybody does that at the same time, everybody has that perspective that's what we're all trying to do, make this world a better place.
Yeah.
Then we can make waves, man. We really can. And I think that's already starting to happen. I really do. There's, you put it out in the universe, and it really does reflect back to you.
Yeah.
Whatever vibes and energy you're putting out, those come right back to you. And
I think there's a clear shift in everything going on. And I want to kind of challenge the listeners right now too. If you're somebody that seeks more out of your life and for your community, for where you're at right now, get on 75 hard and start reflecting. Stop waiting, because if you truly believe that, and you truly, believe that's where you want to be, do it now. Don't freaking wait. Okay. Get on it. Get on to making your community and your life better right now. Because the longer you wait, the longer you seed into those bad habits, and the longer you allow the universe to think that you don't actually care what's going on in your community. And I think I take that very seriously. And it's one of the motivators for me is, if you truly do care what's going on right now in the world, with the paradigms and health within your family, your community, you need to getting on a higher plane and walking the walk and talking the talk. So
right
I
on,
just want
dude.
to throw that challenge out there real quick.
Yeah, I mean, there is no perfect time. You're always going to have those excuses in the back of your head. Well, I got this coming up, which I get.
Nash's birthday. He's doing it over his birthday and Thanksgiving.
Bro, Thanksgiving.
If he can do it then y'all can do it.
I'm gonna have to eat a whole damn turkey just so I don't have any room to make any bad decisions. Just give me a whole damn turkey.
There you go, baby.
No cranberry sauce though. Get it out of here.
That's awesome, dude. I freaking love it.
That's, and earlier on, I was starting to talk myself out of it. Oh, this isn't gonna be a good time. I should wait till whatever. I should wait till the summer and springtime. Well, really, honestly, I think this time of year is one of the best times during inflammation season.
Boom.
We're coming around to those sweets. We're getting less sunlight. Everybody's staying inside a lot more, probably drinking more,
alcohol. Yep.
And I don't think that there's a better way to combat that than to move more, drink a gallon of water every day. Holy shit, has that been amazing?
How much are you pissing?
Huh? Bro,
so how much
honestly,
are you pissing?
It's my body's really starting to adapt.
That's good.
I'm getting through a gallon by probably, I'd say most days I'm done with it by 5 o'clock.
I remember you talking about that. You're like, you end up craving more
thirsty.
water. Yeah.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
And
dude, that's true. I need to at least pay me another 24 ounces.
Yeah. So I honestly, it's cool seeing those changes happen. Just tissue wise, I feel good. Yeah. Wake up. I have some days where it's all right, got to kind of quiet that bitch voice a little bit and get going. But that's at this point, I like doing that. That's motivation in itself. So
it's awesome.
There's a lot of really good components to it that I think there's a lot of. So Andy talks about it. Using the water as not just like literally it's good for you, but also it's like it's kind of metaphoric that you're kind of washing away the old you. And I think perspectively that's a type of reflection in itself too.
Yeah.
Seeing your values and what's your why in multiple different things, I think is a way to reflect. You know, like moving about your life with what's the right word? Kind of like it's not just like intention, but moving about your life with certain fundamental principles in mind that like that's why I'm doing something. I feel like that really correlates to like the 75 hard program. That like I'm not doing this because it's gonna make because it's easier, right? I'm not doing this because it's convenient, or I'm doing this because I want to be impeccable with my word, and I want to make sure that when I say I'm going to do something, it means something.
Okay.
And the water, right? Like just like seeing things, looking at things in a different perspective, I think is one of the biggest components to the 75 hard program.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, and yeah, well said. I don't want to go any more to that.
Okay, right on.
Well said.
Do you have a third component of your reflection?
So I got a couple like just bullet points that I've listed on it. So
cool.
One I want to get into is goals without reflection can lead to repeated mistakes. Goals without reflection can lead to repeated mistakes. And I saw somebody, because we write goals, right? And somebody put this, I think I was honestly scrolling through Reels. Follow a lot of like motivational things on the Instagram Reels. And there was a really cool thing that somebody put out, and they said there's no realistic reason why you can't reach your goals. It's just how you go about attaining those goals is what makes the difference. Because if you write a goal down and you just write that goal, then it might never come to fruition. But if you write a goal down, you think about the steps that it's going to take to reach that goal, you create an action plan, you time manage, you reflect instead of repeating your mistakes like maybe you had in the past. There's no reason why you can't meet that goal, because you've created an action plan to meet it and you've gone after it. And if you're consistent with that, which is consistency is that sexy word that nobody likes to really talk about, but consistency is really key when it comes to meeting those goals.
And accountability, bro.
And accountability, 100%.
If you can't keep yourself accountable, then
you sent me your goals, bro. I love what you remember that.
What, my ones I had in my planner?
I think so. It was like 6 months ago. I'm waiting, bro.
No.
They're slowly coming true, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, you got one of them you're about to check off hopefully here in December with the Cairo missions.
Yes, sir. And honestly, so being, running your own practice, right? So much self-accountability, as I know you can attest to that. And having things in place to reflect, bro, keeping you accountable for not just what you personally want to do, but just as like what your business deserves to do and what chiropractic deserves to be, not to be done, but like what we owe to the profession itself.
Yeah.
To the diploma we have, to the torch that's been passed to us, what we owe to those people that came before us.
Right.
They deserve, and people deserve us to hold ourselves accountable to that, to that standard, right? To hold that line. We talk about that a lot too, holding the line, and that starts with yourself. We've had some really good meetings, because it's me and my partner, Dr. Leilani, as some of you OG good fighters know. We had her on season 1, and it's about looking at it differently. That we live together, we intimately spend time together all the time, but
Whoa, let's keep this G-rated, dude.
Oh, man. You don't even want me to go.
Intimately spend time together.
Yeah, right. Holy cow. Cancel me now. But to approach those meetings as not employees, but to literally approach it like objectively.
Yeah.
And to be able to have that perspective that, okay, so if we want to truly grow, we got to be able to reflect on, okay, where are we doing? Where are our goals?
Right.
How are we doing on making progress on those goals?
Right.
And that's just like, one of the things you learn as a small business owner.
Yeah.
That you don't really have that through. I mean, in school you have your grades to keep you accountable. Like you ain't gonna lie to your grades. You ain't gonna lie to the people grading your exams or whatever, or boards.
Yeah.
But once you're done, unless you're associating, there's nobody to keep you accountable except yourself, unless you have a practice management coach, which is great because we had that too. But to some extent, like, bro, they're not going to be here to hold your hand.
Right.
We all have mentors. They're here to show us the easier way, to help us understand that we are using, have a GPS system so we know the direction, but it's up to us to drive the car.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful. Couple more points, and these kind of run together. Okay. Mm-hmm. Reflection is a thinking process, and when you reflect, you don't forget. So one thing that I kind of wrote down in regards to that is when's the last time you guys can think back to a time where you just paused and reflected and took 2 minutes to write out those reflections. I think this is something that I started kind of trying to incorporate into my daily habit, and it helps me to be a better person too, especially with my spouse. If I need to apologize to her, or how can I be a better dad? Was I on my phone when I was playing with Marshall, or was I actively playing with him? Those kinds of things are things that the more you can reflect upon, the better the person you can become. So reflecting is a thinking process that you have to put out 2 minutes. So when's the last time, for those of you listening, when's the last time you guys reflected? Honestly, ask yourself that. And if you can't remember, well, we got work to do, right?
Beginning of The Alchemist.
Ooh.
I don't know if you remember. I read it recently, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the book in front of me and I didn't write it down. But it starts off by talking about the boy in the lake. And every day the boy would come to the lake and look at his reflection. And from the perspective of the boy, he kept just like seeing himself and like watching himself mature and get older until one day he doesn't come back. And then it switches to the perspective of the lake and talking about seeing the boy, but instead of the lake seeing itself, or the lake essentially saw itself through the boy as well, but not in the same way that the boy was viewing himself in the lake.
Yeah.
I wish I had the book here, because maybe I'll save that, and I'll just send that to you, Gates, because I know you'll probably appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And if you haven't read The Alchemist, get on that too. Do 75 hard to read The Alchemist.
Yeah, for real. No, literally, I can't imagine a better book.
Heck yeah. So that's a great point when you look at both perspectives, like we were talking about beforehand. And what was the ending part there, where the lake, he didn't come back, right?
So essentially, the boy kind of moves on and doesn't like return or whatever, and honestly, I kind of forget exactly how the lake ends up like diving into like how it views itself through the boy.
Yeah.
But there is a really good component to that reflection period for the lake, that it sees the boy as just an extension of itself. And it kind of self-actualization of the lake.
Yeah.
But will you repeat number 3 for me one more time, Gates?
So
it's about
the
goals.
last one that I did.
Yeah.
Oh, goals. Goals without reflection can lead to repeated mistakes and frustrations.
Okay, and then what was that third one again?
Reflection turns experience into insight.
Okay. Yes. reflection to experience and insight. Yeah. So and we have hit on that, like that's a theme that we talk about a lot. Absolutely. I don't want to beat a dead horse. So
right. One thing that I think about reflection too is, you get a lot of people that are older. If you really want to take time into slowing down your day, go chat with an old person, because that takes a lot of patience. I'll tell you what.
You got nothing but time anymore.
Nothing but time, Reflection causes you to enjoy the times you may have overlooked and correct the times you wish you never happened. And I think about, if you ever asked an older person what their regrets are, or if they had any regrets, allowing yourself to have time of reflection day in and day out is going to make those regrets a lot less when you get to the time when you're 100, because we all know we live in that 200-year lifestyle. When we get to 100, 200, having that time where we have a lot less regrets because we took time to reflect and correct and live the life that we actually wanted to live. And there's a thing that, Dr. Flynn talks a lot about, is being content but never satisfied with our life. We love the things that are around us, but we always want to strive for better, always want to strive for more. So reflection causes you to enjoy the times you may have overlooked and correct the times you wished had never happened. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes around to, that question people ask all the time. Well, if you could go back, what would you change? And I think the correct answer is always nothing, because without those experiences and those mistakes, unless it's something completely dire, but God does work in mysterious ways, and, with this human experience, it can be, it covers the spectrum all day, every day. And for some people, unfortunately, it's a little bit more it's painful, but, I truly am one of those people that I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't lead me to where I am today, which we talk about chiropractic, the greatest, not profession, but one of the greatest gifts to grace life on the planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And without my life experiences, I wouldn't be where I'm at or appreciate it the way that I do.
100%.
So I think a lot of the ways that we can really reflect and appreciate those past mistakes, or really even appreciate the triumphs that we've had, help us gain a better perspective on how we can react moving forward when we have future mistakes, because those are definitely going to happen, and those are honestly those have more gravity than the triumphs.
Right. Well, I think when you reflect on those, mistakes, and I'm 100% with you in terms of that's what makes you.
Mm-hmm.
But reflecting on those and getting to the point where you heal from those moments too. Because like I said in the earlier portion of it, you can replay that over and over and over again and let it haunt you. Or you can reflect on it and say, cool, that's what I did. I'm a new person now. And, it made me better. It made me who I'm going to be now. And instead of letting it haunt you day in and day out for something, and I know I've experienced that in my own life, just certain things where it would haunt me, getting kicked out of undergrad. Some days it does haunt me, but, I'm glad at the end of the day, as weird as it sounds, that happened, because, it would not have nearly made me go after chiropractic in the way that I did and fell in love with it the way that I did. So I could either let it haunt me and be like, man, I'm such an idiot, get that inner voice that talks to me, or I can reflect on and be like, yeah, that sucked, made me who I am, and I'm glad that happened, because that made me a better chiropractor.
Right.
This person, individual.
Yeah. And, we all have our own story, and knowing your story. And I think that's a big part of it, is being able to tell your story in a way that really gives it justice.
Right.
Because, you cannot, to authentically tell your story, you got to be able to reflect on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So without the ability to do that, it makes it more difficult to connect with other people, because that's truly how you can kind of find yourself, within their eyes. Because more times than not, we've been in somebody else's shoes.
Yep. And that experience gains insight. And the more we reflect on that, just like that point too, it all comes full circle. And the last point I had that kind of is along with that is reflection leads to gratitude. So your reflection day in and day out is going to make you so grateful for this life that you have. You're reflecting on the mere fact that you got 2 eyes, lungs, heart that's beating every single day. Man, I got a lot of gratitude when I think about that. Reflecting that every single day. Wasn't promised, but we got it.
At least 2 guys on a podcast that love you.
Yeah, that's for dang sure.
But more than that, if you can appreciate your ability to love yourself, that's something to really be grateful for. Because there's no greater anguish if you don't love yourself.
Yeah,
because you're constantly torturing yourself from lack of love, and that's an empty feeling. And I've been there. And I think a lot of that can come from different places, but being able to reflect on that too, to really gain insight and perspective on how you really have gratitude for how far you've come and where you're moving to, that new you that you're stepping into every single day.
Absolutely.
With the gifts that we're given. So nothing's guaranteed other than right here, right now.
Absolutely.
And every day I wake up, I say thank you for waking me up today, God, and thank you for these opportunities that I'm going to have today. I'm not sure what they are yet, but I'm thankful for them. Some of them may be disguised as something quite difficult or something something that is going to test me, but I'm thankful for those too, because I look up to you a lot, being a dad like you are, Gates, and
thanks, dude.
Someday I plan on being a dad myself, and I think a lot of these tests are setting me up to do that successfully,
bro.
To lead by example. And I think a lot of our listeners can connect with that message in itself.
Yeah, and what you do now and what you reflect on now will continually to perpetuate that attitude towards winning at this game we call life, right? So, but I appreciate that, man, and I think the more we can continue to make that difference on each other, because obviously you teach me a lot too, and Fight Club, everybody, I hope you guys are able to reflect on what you've been through and be grateful for it, and grateful for everything that you have, especially this podcast, because it's number 1.
Best in the world.
What is that? Best of all times.
Podcast of all times.
Yeah.
Any of the timelines.
Yes, sir. So I did have a few challenges here for our listeners, other than starting 75 hard.
Cool.
Just take 3 minutes to reflect. Pause this episode. Take 3 minutes to reflect right now and write them down. Just think about anything and everything that you could do better, or what you would like to become, essentially. Whether that's talking with patients, talking with yourself, talking with those individuals around you, or whatever you feel like it might be. So take 3 minutes to reflect. And then at the end of that 3 minutes, I want you to think about what it would have been like if you did 5 minutes every day. Because realistically, it's a very, very small chunk of time. But what if you did 5 minutes a day? Because I guarantee you that 3 minutes, is going to change a lot of your mental attitude for the day. But what if you did 5? And then always, always remember this: reflect on the past, but don't live there. Okay, guys, reflect on the past, but don't live there, because it's a glance into the mirror, not you're not figuring out how to drive through that. So reflect on the past, but don't live there. And then if you're somebody that's been struggling and having frustrations and everything like that, remember that the more you can have reflection, the less you can go down that street towards repeated mistakes and frustration. So it's time to walk down a different street, and it starts with reflection, guys. So go out there and live it every day as much as you can. Dr. Nash, any closing thoughts? I know you got a patient here soon.
Nah, man, but beautiful. What a good message. I think that even myself, I'm going to take time as soon as I get the opportunity to take 3 minutes to reflect today. Getting stuck in the past, it's a tricky thing. It's really easy to get caught up in that and have that cycle, just it's that self-actualizing cycle of being in one place or one period of time that you relive a certain moment. And it does take your own ability to ask for help sometimes to get out of those areas.
Yeah.
And that form of help may come in different forms, but just move forward with the trust that it's going to be the right thing for you in the longevity of becoming the best version of yourself. So
yeah.
Appreciate you bringing that
Love
to the
that.
table today, Dr. Gates.
Yeah, dude.
Cool episode.
Anytime. If you are listening to this podcast, don't forget to share it, pay the fee. I know we adopted that from Andy, but I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Please write us a review. We would be very, very grateful for any type of review you guys can pop in. Continue to follow both of our socials. DC_Nash_T.
Yes, sir.
Cool. And then Gatesman_DC. Get up on our YouTube, and Good Fighters. We out. Connection, intention, and purpose all day, baby. Choose your destiny.